boomer bob. Get the branding right.
It's about to be some grown folks talking here, okay?
No representation is made that the quality of podcasting performed is greater than the quality of podcasting performed by other podcasters.
Basketball Jones, I got a basketball Jones.
Hey everybody.
Basketball Jones, oh baby. Ooh.
How you doing? Good to hear it.
Yes, I'm the victim of a basketball Jones. Ever since I was a little baby, I always be dribbling.
I've been dribbling too.
In fact, then one day, my mama bought me a basketball. And I love that basketball. I took that basketball with me everywhere I went. That basketball was
like a basketball to me. Oh yeah. How's it going, everybody? Boomer Bob of the Boomer Bob Show sitting here with you. Anybody else have a basketball, Jones? I mean, it's March Madness. I'm not really a big sports guy, but I do have this little news story for you. In an early March Madness game, Oral Roberts, I don't know if it's university or college, but it is a college. They're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a private college. Oral Roberts played Ohio State, at which, during the national anthem, 5 Ohio State players took a knee. Dear Ohio State, I'm taking a knee to you're taking a knee. You know, if George Floyd could come back to life, I seriously doubt that he would want to see another knee. Yet, in the same vein, I doubt that Jesus wants to see another cross again either, so I digress. But my message is this. Athletes, you're not that important. Nobody gives a shit. If it comes down to survival mode and you tear open that survival bucket from Costco, do you think there's going to be a basketball or a football in there? Probably not. Radios, flashlights, candles, glow sticks, flare guns, whistles, waterproof matches, sleeping bags, body warmers, ponchos, MREs. These are things we need to survive. Do you notice a severe lack of athletes and their feelings in there? Now, on a side note, am I the only one whose mind instantly goes to the gutter when I hear the college name Oral Roberts? Well, for those curious, the private college won against Ohio State 75-72. Now, I won't say the point difference because math is racist. Should we give a shit about women's basketball? South Carolina women's basketball coach was raising a fuss about equality for women's college basketball teams. Apparently, the men's workout area was decked out, like loaded with all this really nice gear, while the women's area was just pretty much an empty room. I feel that this accurately depicts the amount of revenue generated by each faction of NCAA basketball. What do you guys think? I haven't shouted out the voicemail line in a while. See if I can remember the number. 256-229-4105. That's 256-229-4105. Call me up and put me down. I'm going to go ahead and get into this. It's time for me to thank you guys and direct you to patreon.com/Boomer Bob Show. I know, turned into a whore. I can't help it. I don't know what it is. I got to pause for this jam. This is a hell of a version, by the way. This is Of Mice and Men doing this particular rendition. Good stuff. So shout out to people who don't listen when I say not to subscribe to my Patreon. I totally respect your oppositional defiance disorder and appreciation for reverse psychology. Yeah. Which leads me to a drop.
Say my name.
Yeah. What?
What's my motherfucking name?
Just fucking say it.
All right, I will. Jeez. How about thank yous to those who have subscribed to my Patreon in recent weeks? How about Tyler from the Fartmouth Podcast? If you don't listen to the Fartmouth Podcast, then you aren't a nihilist with a penchant for vulgarity and jokes involving semen and racism. But if you're looking for an express lane to hell or just want to hear the N-word said 14 different ways by millennials who actually make you laugh, well, check out the Fartmouth Podcast. Tyler and Jake make a great duo, and, they'll leave you feeling like you just masturbated to an old JCPenney catalog. A shout out to Dave from the Man Brain podcast, as well as the curator of the Content Kings Patreon. That's patreon.com/Content Kings. You will find all sorts of different material there. It's not just one particular personality, character, or podcast. The stuff is just all over the place, all over the map. You're bound to find something that you'll like at patreon.com/Content Kings. And it's $1. I mean, if you're like me and poor, drop $5. It's well deserved. The man's constantly putting out stuff. Harry, thank you for joining. Now, Harry doesn't have a podcast to shout out, so in Harry's honor, I'll just call Val a giant fucking Jew and an embarrassment to people with failure to launch syndrome across the globe. I'm sure he would want me to do that. He didn't tell me to do that, but I know Harry. Also, a patron who wishes to remain anonymous. I respect that, and at the same time, I thank you. While I come up with ideas for bonus content, I plan to release my episodes on Patreon only as an early access bonus, and will load them to my regular RSS feed a couple days later. I heard you guys, nobody gives a shit, and I'll move on to the rest of the show. Alrighty, so apparently everybody knows about it, the mass shooting last week in Atlanta. This is an article from the Los Angeles Times. President Biden said Friday the country must unite to fight discrimination and attacks against Asian Americans, delivering a message of solidarity after killings at 3 spas here earlier this week. Quote, "Our silence is complicity," he said after probably getting it wrong 47 times and finally getting it right during private meetings with Atlanta area figures. "We cannot be complicit. We have to speak out." Boy, he learned a new word, didn't he? Complicit and complicity. Good job there, Biden. Way to put that new 2021 word of the day calendar to use, my friend. Old Vice President Biden. So this leads me to my audio clips. Yay for me. What do we got here, babe? Go.
This morning, the FBI is now investigating a shooting spree that left 8 people dead at multiple massage parlors in the Atlanta area. Police first identified 21-year-old Robert Long as the suspect in a shooting that killed 4 people at a spa in Cherokee County, Georgia. About 1 hour later, investigators say a gunman matching Long's description walked into 2 other massage parlors in Atlanta, killing 4 more people.
It appears that all victims are female.
And race?
It appears that they may be Asian.
Atlanta police then dispatching officers to check nearby similar businesses.
This started up in Cherokee County. My understanding, they shot up a spa up there. They've shot up 2 spas here in Zone 2. So we need to make sure if we have any Asian spas, we need to be checking on them.
Police capture Long after a brief pursuit. This morning, investigators say it's extremely likely he's connected to all 3 shootings. 6 of the 8 victims are of Asian descent. Authorities are now trying to determine a motive and whether race played a role.
They did check into that and found that race did not play a role. But CBS Evening News is going to continue to do their bullshit.
President Biden tonight with a forceful call to end violence against Asian Americans.
We have to change our hearts. Hate can have no safe harbor in America. It must stop.
Wait a minute. After 5 years of hatred towards Trump and his voters, and the hate continues for his voters, you're going to say this stuff. Hold on.
Many Asian Americans have been walking up and down the streets and worrying. They've been
Asian Americans have been walking up and down the streets worrying. Hold on, let me check outside real quick. Oh. Nope. All I see is some lady riding her bike, and I've talked to her before, and well, she likes to tell you about all of her doctor visits from the last 4 months. So I try not to engage with her. She's a nice lady, but, don't really care.
attacked, blamed, scapegoated, and harassed. They've been verbally assaulted.
Scapegoated. I have never, ever, ever scapegoated someone that I know of. Like, not to their face, anyway.
Physically assaulted, killed.
Earlier,
You know who else is getting physically assaulted and killed? A lot of people in this country. So you can't say it's just Asians. This is manufactured, 100% manufactured bullshit. I can't find the narrative here, other than pointing at Trump and saying it's Trump's fault because of him using the terms Kung Flu and Chinese virus and things like that.
president spent more than 90 minutes meeting privately with Asian American activists and legislators, including State Senator Michelle Au, who had a message for Mr. Biden.
That must have hurt.
The Asian community is scared. We are living in terror. We have been for the past year at least. And this latest incident here in Atlanta is just taking place on top of a culture of fear of violence.
Reported attacks on Asian Americans in the past year jumped to almost 4,000 amid the pandemic.
This recent surge has been driven by the racist political rhetoric of the former president and many of his colleagues.
Kung flu.
The former president and many of his colleagues. Now, violent attacks against Asian Americans had jumped last year to 4,000. Notice how they don't give you any other numbers. There's what about white Americans? What about Italian Americans? What about Irish Americans? What about African Americans? What about Mexican Americans? What about... Let's just break everybody down into little bitty subgroups. How about Irish Americans who don't eat potatoes? What's the numbers on those guys? Really tired of this fucking labeling bullshit.
Reports show anti-Asian sentiment on social media increased dramatically after former President Trump first used the hashtag Chinese virus last spring.
Line of bullshit. So here's this guy. He's got a YouTube show, YouTube podcast, something of that sort. His name is Kang Min Lee. You can look him up, check him out. Grab these two little clips off of his show. It's kind of interesting.
So now they've screamed about white supremacy. What are the actual stats surrounding the surge in anti-Asian hate crimes? So one commonly cited statistic is that anti-Asian hate crimes have jumped 1,900% nationwide. But it's misleading. It was actually only for New York, and according to the NYPD data, where it went from 1 Asian hate crime in 2019 to 20 in 2020. But for the whole nation, here are some stats. On the day Stop AAPI Hate released a report documenting nearly 3,800 instances of anti-Asian hate during the pandemic, nearly 70% against Asian women, a man killed 8 in shootings targeting Asian businesses. 6 of the 8 killed were Asian women. So this is extremely misleading. So this is true that there were 1,800 incidents of anti-Asian hate, but let me pull up this graph for you guys. And this is according to Stop AAPI Hate. Only 11% of that, which is still a lot, it's over 400 incidents of physical assault, but only 11% of those 3,800 were physical assault. Most of them were just verbal harassment, name calling, and avoidance and shunning.
We're upset about name calling. People who take to Twitter and do nothing but name call are upset about name calling. Here's another clip.
And according to VOA News, hate crimes targeting Asians spiked 150% in major U.S. cities. So we see here on this graph, this was last updated March 1st. Most of them happened in New York, and then LA, Boston, Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Cleveland. Notice how these are all Democrat cities, and they're all run by Democrats, and they all have the most progressive policies. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So then we know that there's a spike in anti-Asian hate crimes, and we know that there isn't 3,800 instances of violent crime, but actually only 11% of that. But who's committing these crimes? Unfortunately, there isn't clear data compiled for this for 2020 and 2021, but the most recent data we have is from the DOJ Bureau of Justice Statistics. So I'm going to pull up this chart here, and we see, let's look at the last line. So for Asians, there were 182,230 instances of violent crime, and 24.1% of them were from white people, and 27.5% of them were from black people.
So what do you think of that stuff? I think that was very brave of this guy, or cool of this person this Kang Min Lee, to put this out. I'm going to guess by his name that he's has some Asian in his blood. And this chick is, well, I don't know what she's trying to do. Be like the guy in 300. This is Sparta.
That's right. You are at a train station, standing at a bus stop, walking in the street, and you see someone saying something that you don't agree with, or assaulting someone, or trying to harm someone, intimidate someone. Stand up. That's right. Say something. Do not be a bystander.
Yeah. Now, you might get sued, though, in the process, if you get involved. Probably going to go to jail for assault or battery or harassment or whatever. And if you don't go to jail, if somebody gets hit by your elbow while you're trying to help somebody up or whatever, you might get sued in civil court for damages and probably lose. So yeah, go ahead and get involved, people. It's really worked out great in the past. Here's PBS's take on this bullshit.
The suspect, who confessed to a shooting spree at 3 spas in the Atlanta area, was charged today with multiple counts of murder. 8 people were killed. The attacks have prompted greater anger.
I'm glad she felt the need to tell us that he was charged with multiple counts of murder because 8 people were killed. I thought they charged you with multiple counts of murder when we only kill one person. This gets better.
Anger and fear within the Asian American community in Georgia and around the country.
For no reason other than the fact that the media immediately labeled this an Asian hate crime. This guy clearly said he was not doing it for racial reasons.
Stephanie Tsai begins with this report.
The mass shooting of 6 Asian women at their place of work and 2 other white victims is...
See, what's up with that? 6 Asian women at their place of work and 2 white people.
Reverberating around the country. The full motive behind the attacks is still unclear.
I think the 2 white people, they were a husband and wife that were in different rooms when they were getting a massage and they got shot too. The news isn't going to tell you that because, well, fuck white people.
We are very early in this investigation, even though we have made an arrest.
I mean, that's 25% of the deaths. White people are 25% of the deaths in this particular massacre. But see, they're not going to talk about that because it doesn't fit their narrative. It's not a necessary ingredient in this recipe of fucking manufactured bullshit that they're trying to spew out there.
There's still a lot more work to be done.
21-year-old Robert Aaron Long, now in custody and charged with murder and assault, has admitted to the shootings.
Thanks. I thought he would be charged with jaywalking and public intoxication.
Officials in Georgia who are investigating the case with the help of the FBI said he frequently visited massage parlors in the past. And
exactly, for a rub and tug. See, there's different kind of massage parlors. You go to the sweetest massage parlor, they got big burly women who will dig an elbow into your back, into your whatever, rhomboids or whatever the fuck they call them. That woman. Odds of you getting touched in your no-no place, pretty fucking slim. Unless you grab her ass or something, then she's going to probably nail you in the dick with her fist. But the Asian place, well, they're more like, so you like a porno? When they do that, and guess what that means? Might get a little happy ending action. They're more prone to do it. And the Asian massage parlors are also more prone to, well, human trafficking situations.
Denied his attacks were racially motivated.
He does claim that it was...
But that didn't matter to you, did it? He denied that they were racially motivated, but that didn't matter to the fucking media, did it? Or the vice president. I call Vice President Biden, and you'll see why here pretty soon.
Not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
No, that's not true. No, this is racism. This is anti-Asian hatred. And we need to all have fucking marches and you yell at people about stopping the hate. You fucking idiots. Why don't you report on, I don't know, Vladimir Putin calling out fucking Biden's bitch ass? Calling him out, straight up calling him out. Nope, not going to report on that. You know why?
You're dumb.
Exactly. You know what this segment is? It can only mean that I'm going into clips of Vice President Biden being a fucking moron. Hey, you're dumb. No, you're dumb. Yep. Oh, VP Biden over here. Get it.
There's something called a child tax credit. What that basically means is you get a tax credit for every child you have. The American Rescue Plan expands that credit. It means that families of over 2 million children in Georgia.
What? Family? Hold on. I got to play that back.
It means that families of over 2 million children in Georgia.
So you got to have 2 million kids to qualify for this? Motherfucker.
Will be eligible for an increase in that child tax credit of $1,600 per year per child.
Oh, $1,600 per year per child. I thought it was $3,600. It was $3,000 for children over 6 and $3,600 for children under 6. I read the bill, and that's what it said. But whatever. This guy's a fucking idiot.
Now, when President Harris and I took a virtual tour of a vaccination center in Arizona.
I'll play that for you again. Vice President Biden, and this is why I call him that. Go.
Now, when President Harris and I took
President Harris.
Now, when President Harris and I took
President Harris. Guess we know who wears the pants in the White House.
We're sending back people to, first of all, the idea that Joe Biden said come, because I heard the other day that they're coming because they know I'm a nice guy and I won't do what Trump did. They're saying this. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. They're not. We're sending back.
He just said they were. The interviewer said they're saying this, and he goes, well, here's the deal. They're not. I'll play that again.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. They're not.
Yeah, that's what he just says. So you're calling him a liar. Okay, cool. How about you bastards go out and get your vaccines, or otherwise your neighbors are going to get involved?
I need your help. I need you to help. Not just the country, but your family, your friends, your neighbors.
I need
get
somebody.
Them vaccinated as well.
Not just anybody.
Up, stick together and stick with the science.
Science.
We can look forward to a 4th of July that feels a bit more normal. With small.
4th of July will never feel normal. Thank you. But if it does, it's not going to be because you gave me permission to, you wretched old moron piece of shit.
Groups able to gather for cookouts in backyards.
I'll gather for a cookout in my front yard if I want.
And where we began to declare our independence on
I think we declared our independence, I don't know, something like 240 something years ago.
Independence Day from the virus. Look, together we're going to come through this stronger.
Okay, the virus is not going to go away, at least not by your hand, not by my hand, not by anybody wearing a mask, not by any fucking vaccine, not by any social distancing, not by any lockdown. It's not going to fucking happen by our hand, okay? We'll have nothing to fucking do with it.
With renewed faith in each other and our government that fulfills its most important function, protecting the American people.
Just do it.
We have to beat this virus.
We will do it. We will
We have to beat this virus. We will do.
What about my buddies down in Australia?
Have you been busy, have you?
You've been busy, have you?
It's busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's quite busy. What
Busier
about
than
you,
a cat.
mate? Have you been busy? Have you been busy, have you?
I've been busier than a one-legged man in an asking competition.
Yeah. Well, you guys got some cool shit going on with the coronavirus. Here's some news for you in case you don't watch your own.
There's been no community transmission of coronavirus in Victoria, but another virus is doing the rounds and children are being hit the worst. These brothers were both diagnosed with RSV.
It's such a deep cough. It reminded me of croup. He woke up and we thought he was having an asthma attack.
Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is very common and contagious and causes infections of the respiratory tract. Doctors say there's been a spike in RSV and the similar rhinovirus.
Uh-oh. Here's more.
Like the common cold, symptoms are similar to those of coronavirus. Health professionals put the recent rise of RSV and rhinovirus down to weakened immune systems. Doctors say the lengthy lockdown combined with mask wearing protected most of us from germs last year. The advice is to get vaccinated against the flu and to wear a mask if flu-like symptoms are present.
And the commercial.
COVID-19 has changed our lives. For us to live more freely,
thanks, Captain Obvious.
We need the added protection of COVID-19 vaccines.
No, we don't.
Our experts are looking carefully at the clinical trial results, along with all the data on quality and manufacturing of the vaccines. We only will approve vaccines when we have enough evidence that they work and that they're safe.
The rollout of the vaccines will be available in batches, so we're making sure they go to where they are needed first. To keep up to date, visit health.gov.au.
You got
by the
that?
Australian Government, Canberra.
Of course it was. Good on you, mate. Put another scrimp on the Volvo. I know you fuckers don't do that. You call them prawns or something. Well, that was fun. Some legislature I heard in England, I don't know, a week or so ago, she proposed a curfew in her area for men, 6 p.m. She wants men to have a curfew of 6 p.m. so that women can walk about and feel safe. So let me get this straight. Only women would take the trash can to the street the night before trash day? Only women would get out of bed and answer to that bump in the night by walking around the home and checking things out with a baseball bat? Only women can take the dog for that evening shit walk? Only women can deliver pizzas? I'm thinking that America should adopt this policy as well immediately. Maybe then we could watch Sunday Night Football in fucking peace. I'm not talking about my wife. My wife is an absolute angel. But some of you guys, I don't know how you fucking stay with them. The latest trend is feeling safe when walking alone. I think the movement was called Text Me When You Get Home or something like that. But to be honest, the wife and I have been doing that shit for years. When I had my daughter living at home, we had that same policy as well. And she'd been moved out for like 6 or 7 years. So it's not really a groundbreaking idea here. The issue I take is these are the same morons who chanted, defund the police. Pick a side. Either you can feel safe during an evening jog, or black people cannot die by the hands of law enforcement. I'm just going by your imaginary rules here, but both of these things are actually obtainable. Pick something. So now this brings us to this dumb fuck. I don't usually watch news. I don't have cable, so I don't get all the cable news channels. Sunday mornings, sometimes if I'm up around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning and near a TV set, I'll turn one on, and I like to watch, the local channels, the ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. No, not Fox News. The other Fox, the one that runs The Simpsons. And I don't know, whatever else is on it, American Idol, I don't know, fucking The Voice, whatever. I don't care. Just not the Fox News one. So they have a show on there called Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. I happen to like Chris Wallace. He had Alejandro Mayorkas, who I believe is our Homeland Security Secretary. And if you look into this guy's past, he's a fucking big piece of shit too. Thank you, Biden, for that one. But, not that Trump did any better. He picked a bunch of douchebags too. The numbers are 74,000 apprehended at the border in December when Trump was running things. So that 74,000 jumped in February to 100,000 after Biden was inaugurated. In December, 4,900 unaccompanied minors were detained, or whatever you want to call it, put in cages. Lock them up. 4,900 in December compared to 9,400 in February. Again, after Biden was inaugurated. Now, Biden's reversal of Trump's immigration policies have caused a shitstorm at the border. And Mayorkas blames fucking Trump. Here we go.
And joining us now, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. Mrs. Secretary, welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Good morning. Thank you for having me,
Just kidding.
I want to start with something that White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said this week. Take a look, sir.
We are taking steps to ensure that when kids come to the border, we look and see if they have a phone number in their pocket so we can call the family member and get them to those family members as quickly as possible.
How common do you think that is? Because Biden said the same stupid thing. Most of them come with a phone number. Oh, they come with a phone at what? Written on their forehead? On the back of their neck with a barcode? Come with a phone number in their pocket? Yeah, they just swam across the fucking Rio Grande. But they had waterproof ink on the back of a taco wrapper. The fuck out of here. Most of them come with a phone number. Like, if lost, return to...
I understand compassion for these children, but why is it the responsibility of the U.S. to resettle minors coming across the border?
Thank you. I'm glad somebody in the media has the fucking nerve to ask that question. The problem is, he asked it to somebody who has no plans on telling you or actually answering it with a legitimate response. All you're going to get is talking points. And you're going to get the talking points that they want you to perpetuate. They want you to keep on saying this over and over. It's like the thing with the guy who killed people in Atlanta, killed 6 Asians and 2 non-Asians, and came out and said to the cops it was not racially motivated. It was because he feels that the sex thing is dirty and nasty and needs to go bye-bye. But the media pushed the racial narrative because, well, it's better for them, isn't it? Pushes their agenda. Black Lives Matter, white supremacy. Everybody, white supremacy. All white people are bad. If you're white, you're a piece of shit. You got to go. Meanwhile, 90% of the people saying this stuff on the news are white people. And not just white people. They're wealthy White people that make millions of dollars a year telling you that you're a white piece of shit. Just like that. Just that same narrative where a shooting over a guy's weird addiction to sex was twisted by the media into being a racially motivated hate crime against Asian people. This guy is going to spew you his talking points about what he wants to blame, about he wants you to repeat at the water cooler when you go to work tomorrow.
Chris, that is the law under the United States. We have an asylum program that recognizes young children, young vulnerable children's right to claim asylum, to claim fear from persecution by reason of their membership in a particular group. That is what the law provides, and we administer and enforce those laws.
My neighbor 2 doors over likes to play extremely loud rap music at about, 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. And I feel threatened by that. So does that mean that I can claim asylum and just move to a nicer house? The rules of asylum are this. You have to take asylum in the first country that you come to. And most of these kids are not coming from Mexico. They're coming from countries south of Mexico. So they should be taking asylum in Mexico or another country, not America. We don't owe them anything. We've got enough problems. We have kids here. Have you not watched television in the last, 2 fucking years? All they play is these, children are starving. That's starving children. Oh, every day, 400 billion children in America go without meals. That's why if you donate to Meals for Kids Who Aren't Eating, we'll make sure that we get school cafeteria pizza to these kids via limousine. For just 83 cents a day, I can get a new Porsche. We can feed a whole lot of hungry kids.
You and the administration talk about being humane, but let's go back to what the Trump policy was, which in the case of non-Mexican minors was not, as has been suggested, simply to turn these kids around and push them back into the desert. In fact, we would coordinate with other countries. We would charter planes. We would send them back by airplane to resettle with their families. Why is it more humane to take these kids, to put them in
Orange Man bad
control facilities
Here
that
comes.
were not meant for children,
Trump
oftentimes for many more days than the legal limit?
2, 1. Trump hate.
Chris, that is not what the prior administration did. You'll forgive me. The prior
How do you know? You weren't there, you
children,
bald fuck.
Did fly children to countries from which they were fleeing.
Oh, did he throw them out of the plane while it was in the air? No.
Countries that did not have the capacity to administer asylum.
What's the problem? You send them back where they came from. That's how you're supposed to handle this. We are not the world's halfway house. We cannot play safe haven to everybody who wants an iPhone and a pair of Jordans. We can't. It's just not possible.
Countries that suffer tremendous violence, poverty, corruption, and other infirmities. So to suggest that the prior administration handled the needs of children in a humane way is just false.
Well, you seem to have agreed with me, sir, that they would put them on planes. They wouldn't just send them back over.
I'll go ahead and cut that there. You see where this is going. Everything's Trump's fault. Trump did it. Now, while Fox News Sunday is looking to hold people accountable for their poor decisions at the border, I flipped around and CBS Morning News was talking to some pop star, I believe it was Demi Lovato, about her overdose, like anybody gives a fuck. ABC is worried about fake Asian hate, and NBC's Sunday morning program with Cuck Todd, that fucking retard, he's worried about how are the kids at the border being taken care of, as in why aren't these people being put up in 5-star hotels complete with room service and personal assistance. Basically is what they said. Now I exaggerated a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that they would be okay with that. If Vice President Biden came out and said, we're going to give these kids a 5-star hotel, PlayStation 5s for all of them, which means those of you who've been waiting for a PlayStation 5, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer because, well, we're going to give them to, we're going to make sure that these unaccompanied minors at the border have something to do while they're in a 5-star hotel room. We're going to make sure that they have room service as well as personal assistance. I'm sure that everybody on the left would be like, oh, bro, Biden's America. Vice President Biden's America is such a wonderful place It's a B. It is. No, honestly, it is. Hey, can we knock it off with the app updates? Every time I turn on my iPhone, my iPad, getting a little much with the app updates. I just updated this app 7 times last week. All right. How about you, I don't know, just leave it alone for a little while. It seems to be working fine. I've not noticed an issue at all. Now, I know I don't have to update, but I'm one of those who, when I see like a little red round dot with a number in it, I have to clear it out. I don't know what it is. It's just some kind of disorder that I have. So stop it with the app updates. Not that any app developers listen to my shit, but well, if, 6 degrees of masturbation or whatever it is, you guys probably know somebody or jerked off somebody who knows somebody who writes these apps and puts out the updates. Tell them to knock that shit off. Thank you guys for listening. This is Boomer Bob, boomerbobshow@gmail.com, patreon.com patreon.com/Boomer Bob Show, 256-229-4105. Come over to the Discord. Look for Content Kings. That's where I hang out. Now, I do have my own Discord, but don't sweat it, man. You can look for Boomer Bob Show Discord and jump in if you'd like, but you can also just look for Content Kings. If you want a link to the Content Kings, just slide me a DM or hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Boomer Bob Show on Twitter as well. Same thing, I think, on Facebook. I don't really use Facebook that much. I log in maybe once a week on Facebook, and even then, it's log in, this place sucks, and I log right back out. So there that is. Be sure to check out the latest episode of the Bullhorn podcast that I do with old John Jamingo. We just released one a couple days ago. I think yesterday, actually. This one is pretty funny. For the most part, well, I'm funny. You know how that works. The Bullhorn Podcast, bullhornpodcast.com, something like that, at Bullhorn Pod, on all the socials, whatever. You know the deal. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for patroning and all that good stuff. Love you guys, and I'm coming up with ideas for content. Talking to the wife, we're going to do some episodes together. Have a little fun with it. I'm trying to write some songs, do all kind of stuff. It's coming. You just got to be patient with me and hang in there. I promise you. You're going to get your money's worth. Thank you, guys. Later.
Ain't no lie, getting old as a bitch. Gonna spit this game, only way I'll get rich.